there. You are watching Newspaper Review on Niger Live TV. My name is Barbie Mkparu and I'm joined by
Glad Yakie.
Alright, as you know, Newspaper Review is your daily press review, as we will be checking out headlines making the papers. Let's begin quickly with the Nation newspaper. Offer robbery. The false claims by a desperate drowning governor. So it's quite a statement there. You see, there's been a whole lot going on in this Kwara State, yeah?
Kwara State,
Yeah, in regards to what the governor is saying. He's saying there's an involvement by the former Senate President, Saraki, in the offer robbery incident, and Saraki, on the other hand, is also responding. He's saying back that this governor, the governor of Kwara State, he's just making all of these claims because he's a desperate drowning governor. His government is failing, and he's trying to use lots of things to distract himself. So it's a whole lot of political drama going on there.
A whole lot, but it's a very serious claim against Saraki at this point, and for him, the claims are actually being backed by some of the corporates in the offer robbery. So there's going to be a lot of work to be done by his attorney to should I say,
prove
those claims not wrong. So it's going to be interesting seeing how the entire situation unfolds. But him is coming out this time around saying the governor Abdulaziz, or I'm not really sure about his name, but he's saying the Kwara State governor is actually desperate and he's currently drowning and just looking for room to really,
exactly.
That's the situation with Kwara State now.
Do well to read through details of that story. Alright, we see Watda governors, others campaign for Oyebanji in Ekiti. That's the Ekiti state governor. There are so much people that are pushing for his re-election going on there in Ekiti state. So do well to keep yourself updated and read through details of that story, as governors and many others are rooting for the re-election of the current Ekiti state governor. Read details of that story. Alright, let's move on to the Vanguard newspaper. Check out a few headlines here. Paper mills collapse. Nigeria loses 674 billion naira annually to foreign producers. Stories like this usually pisses Glad off. I mean, Glad is not glad when he hears stories like this, because why should a country that is this blessed have to do lots of imports rather?
And you look at this story. It's about paper. Nigeria has is rich in forest resources, and I think forest is the #1 resource in manufacture of paper. So
true.
I don't know why a country with so much resources will be depending on aid. Like, I don't really understand, depending on imports. So it's really not good enough. We have to really think about building up our industries. But
very much important, because even the amount we see here is a ridiculous amount.
674 billion
annually. So do well to read the details of that story. Lagos Governor Sanwo-Olu Exco endorsed Hamzat. Now it's time for changing power, changing governance. A whole lot is going on. We see that in Lagos State, the Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu is now endorsing his deputy Hamzat to be his successor in the coming Lagos State gubernatorial elections. That's it's I don't know why, in as much as it might be normal that you'd want somebody that you know to be your successor, it still doesn't sit well with me that you would disclose, openly endorse.
It isn't something that's
because you're governor for all.
It's not just synonymous with Nigeria. There's also something like this happening in the US as well. When the former president of the US left power, talking about Barack Obama,
Yeah.
he actually did endorse Kamala Harris. He endorsed Joe Biden as well because they are from the same political party. So that endorsement is something that's normal. But the thing in Nigerian politics is that it really does appear to be very scripted. It's almost
Very,
like
very,
they
yeah.
know the end.
We know who
We
comes.
know you're almost going to be certain who will be the next president of Nigeria.
Of course.
At least I think there's a cabal where they already know who will be the next president.
Kingmakers.
So there's the kingmakers, but the statement itself, him endorsing his deputy, is not necessarily wrong because it's still done elsewhere.
All right. Okay, do well to read through details of that story. So we should be saying congratulations to the deputy governor as next governor anytime soon.
The cabal already
I'm
knows.
telling you, it's very obvious. So, but quite a story there. Let's go over to the Punch newspaper. Jet fuel crisis. FG6 30-day credit window for airlines. Now, this is the federal government now doing a whole lot to ensure that, there was a threat from the domestic airlines saying they would want to shut down due to the increment in fuel prices and all that. So the federal government has been doing all it can to ensure that the domestic airlines are able to carry out their operations. In as much as it's a whole lot going on, they are still able to manage the situation. So now the federal government is seeking a 30-day credit window for airline. That simply means they can now purchase fuel and not pay immediately. They can pay after 30 days. It's the federal government doing a whole lot at this point. I must commend them, and the reasons they are doing it, it's obvious now. It's not everybody it's not all the politicians that have their private jets. So and then they do a lot of traveling. So
overall, I would say it's a good move from the federal government because the prices of fuel at this point, the federal government, unfortunately, they've been unable to really put at least a pause to its inflation.
Yeah.
But with regards to at least giving this 30-day credits to airlines, it's going to be very good because for a lot of airlines, they've been threatening to shut down. And you know how devastating that could be for a lot of Nigerians because a lot of Nigerians have been trying to avoid traveling by road. And then now the airlines, now you may not even be able to afford traveling at this point, and then a lot of them will be shutting down, threatening to shut down. And then you have to be falling back to the roads that, the situation with the road transportation in Nigeria. So I think it's going to be a good move for the federal government. It will give the airlines some lifeline.
Thank you very much for that. Very smart analysis. All right, in regards to the coup, court orders a speedy trial and tribunal resumes in May. And that's a whole lot going on with the alleged coup plotters,
Well,
alleged coup plotters.
I'm going to, well, of course, I think speedy trial, sometimes it usually implies that the punishments could be really harsh, on the should I say the culprits, but I think whatever is always stipulated in the constitution, there's always punishments for
certain crimes. Very
and,
true.
When you talk about treason, this coup, it can also be. They've also been. I think they've tabled the punishment, the charges of treason, and treason can be punishable by death. So that's some serious allegation, and so not necessarily allegation in this case. Of course, they are innocent until proven guilty. But
very true.
Hopefully, the federal government could be lenient, but they're also going to consider, okay, if we are lenient, it will also kind of encourage more people, since maybe the first people that attempted it, maybe plotted the coup, just giving a slap on the wrist. It could also encourage others to follow suit. So I think the federal government and maybe the courts at this point, they have to weigh in these factors when making the decisions.
All right, thank you for that intelligent review. All right, to South Africa. Federal government demands protection after 2 Nigerians have been killed. This is the xenophobia is really coming again, and it's annoying, to be very honest. Very honest.
Really annoying, honestly. For the South, the Nigerians that lost their lives there, their soul rest in peace, But I always keep saying, I think it's always good you travel to where you're welcome, where you feel safe. If safety cannot be guaranteed, it's really not worth it, regardless of the economic opportunities that you will be getting. And I will always advise, at least for Nigerians traveling out, you're also going to know that it's always good to know that you're an ambassador, you're representing Nigeria. So there's always been the complaints that a lot of Nigerians, they go out and they carry out nefarious activities when they go out, when they travel overseas. Maybe even in Ghana, there's a lot of talks that Nigerians, the women in Nigeria are into prostitution.
Yeah.
In Ghana, in South Africa, I think there's the accusation that a lot of Nigerians are into drug dealings there as well. So when you're going there, it's always good you at least engage in legitimate activities as well. And already the situation there is tense, so you know these people, they don't like you. So even there's people that are really doing meaningful activities to make money, and they are still being targeted. But it's unfortunate that some Nigerians have already lost their lives. But I will always advise, it's good you go there and you do what you're supposed to do. Don't do something that's illegal. And all safety should be paramount.
All right, thank you for that analysis. Let's go over to the Guardian newspaper, shall we? APC risk internal crisis as governors hijack nomination forms. Now, it's a whole lot going on in all the political parties, in preparation for the 2027 general elections. Now, for the All Progressive Congress, there's now some internal crisis going on because members of the party, some members of the party, are now accusing the governors, the APC governors, who are even dominating Nigeria. We have about 30 something governors that belong to the APC, right? So members of the APC are now accusing governors for hijacking the nomination forms, coming up with the very first outrageous amount for form for presidency, for governorship, and other positions. So with that, there are still statements rising that for the fact that this amount is this huge, they know that the common Nigerian, the common member of the party cannot really afford it, except those who are already in government, which now looks like a pay-to-play situation going on in the All Progressives Congress. But do well to read through details of that story. Yes, it is a very interesting one going on in the APC. All right, Jonathan meets with Obi, others behind closed doors. That's our former president and peace ambassador. Does Peter Obi need any peace talk for now? Why is the former president with him? Why is he meeting with Peter Obi and others behind closed doors?
Of course, I feel like they are in the same political camp. It's pretty obvious. For Jonathan, there's that affiliation he has with Peter Obi, and he does in as much as he also was meeting with the president. I think Jonathan met with Tinubu just recently. But ultimately, I don't necessarily think there's any real close alliance between Jonathan and Tinubu, because you can recall Jonathan lost the presidential elections to
Tinubu's predecessor,
Muhammadu Buhari, and Buhari was like an APC aspirant at that time. And so for Tinubu is actually someone from an opposing camp to maybe the party where Jonathan was. Jonathan, of course, was affiliated with PDP. And right now, it doesn't necessarily seem like he's politically active. He seems to be a neutral body, yes. But a lot of the indications point towards the fact that he has this affiliation, this link with the, should I say, the Obi movement. Obedience.
All right, so do well to keep yourself informed as you go through details of that story. Let's move on to the Nigeria Tribune. Bandits. There's always something sad in the papers. Bandits abduct 24 pupils. Now this is primary school children. Wife of proprietor in Kogi orphanage. What this banditry abductions, it's now beginning to go beyond abducting these people for money. It's looking like, I don't know what to call them at this point. Are they serial killers? Are they what exactly are you abducting 24 pupils for, including the wife of the proprietor? This this is in Kogi Orphanage. It's an orphanage home.
This situation, I believe, is going to be a business for the bandits. I doubt they would be killing pupils. It's not going to be surprising if it does, and hopefully it doesn't get to that.
Hopefully it doesn't.
I believe they are kidnapping them for ransoms in this case. At least, fortunately,
The orphanage.
it's not. Often, yeah, they are going to. They know they know they will definitely get the reactions from Nigerians. Of course, the federal government will come in to maybe address the situation, to maybe bail out the abductees, but it's a sort of business currently ongoing in Nigeria. I think it's very lucrative for the bandits at this point, but the government needs to do a lot to protect its citizens, because there's always one topic about abductions, and I believe while analyzing today, we're going to even see a case of maybe someone that was even killed. At least there will be killings as well in the papers again.
Sadly. So do well to read through details of that story, and we pray that the pupils be rescued, as well as the wife of the proprietor. Offer robbery, the false claims by a desperate drowning governor. That's a Kwara State, Saraki, and Governor of Kwara State drama going on there. Let's move to the leadership newspaper. Aviation fuel crisis. NMDPRA sets Jet A1 prices at 1,988 naira in Lagos and 2,000 over 2,000 naira in Abuja. So this is it's not so good, but it's better than the 3,300 naira that they were buying per liter. So a welcome development. We still hope that it reduces.
And I think to a lot of Gen Zs today, it will be surprising for them to hear that fuel was being sold at 200 naira per liter at some point.
At some point in Nigeria, because we're just hearing thousands. A
lot. And somehow Nigerians keep thriving. That's the
yes,
thing.
We have superpowers.
The prices keep increasing, and it's really not good.
All right, so do well to read through details of that. On the Blueprint newspaper, renewed hope ambassadors. They're saying 58% of NEL Fund beneficiaries from the north. This is one of the very commendable things that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration have done for the student community.
Also, we look at the number, 58% of the beneficiaries are actually from north. Of course, NEL Fund issues loans to students in order to maybe cover up their tuition and all that.
Yeah.
And you might want to say maybe the South might feel like they are being cheated on, because they only have about, if my maths correct, they have about 32% of it, which is not necessarily balanced at this point. I believe 42% for the South is not necessarily fair from that perspective, But you want to also look at the perspective where maybe illiteracy in the north is actually high, and the federal government is also trying to encourage education in the north as well. But also maybe the awareness, a lot of people from the south may not be aware of it, but the numbers is largely imbalanced.
Yeah, that shouldn't even be the fault of the federal government, because I know a lot about NEL Fund. We did campaigns in regards to NEL Fund to inform the student community. The northern universities in the north, east, west, south, they all have the same information about NEL Fund. It's now left for the students to agree to participate or benefit.
At the end of the day, not every applicant will be granted. Not every application is granted, so there are going to be some students that would apply and not get it.
Why do you feel not all applicants will be granted?
They've also been out complaining that a lot of students have actually been applying for these funds as well, but they've not really been given it.
There's also been responses that they should keep trying, because NEL Fund is open. There's no this NEL Fund thingy, it's not political at all. I'm talking based on experience. Exactly. It's not. That's why I started by saying this is one of the very commendable things that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration have done for the student community. So NEL Fund is very much open. It's not. They are not politicizing it at all. So for the northerners, we know that first off, the money to go to school is always the leading challenge for why they have more illiterates in that part of the country. Right. So a nail fund is there for those that cannot pay their fees. I did not use a nail fund in school because I could pay my fees. We had students that used nail fund because they couldn't pay their fees at that
Okay.
point. So that's just the situation. Why it's higher is in the north is because of, sorry to say, poverty. So, but yeah. So do well to read the details of that story as it is available in the paper. Military unveils plans to engage veterans on rising insecurity. Oh yes, they should, because like the Iowa Consultative Forum said, it's becoming a state of war. It's going beyond just
A crisis.
crisis, just insecurity. It's a state of war. Right. So do well to read through details of that. Iran offers to reopen Strait of Hormuz if US lifts blockade. Some officials.
So the back and forth between the
The
US
back and
of course.
forth,
So
honestly.
for Iran, they have that leverage with the Straits of Hormuz, and of course the US also carried out the naval blockade. So it's almost like if you remove your arms from my neck, I'm going to remove
I'm
my
good.
arms from your
Thank
neck.
you. Thank
That's
you.
essentially the situation at this point. But at least it's going to be a welcome development because they have to really start to ease the tension in the Middle East.
All right. So do well to read through details of that story. Jet A1 price spike forces domestic airlines to trim operations. Do well to read through details of that story as it is available. Let's go over to the Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust newspaper. What I can see here looks like a bad news. Who is there? Core members' final words. Oh, sadly. So this happened that it's a 24-year-old core member. You know, he was shot by soldiers.
Very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
A core member, that's you want to call. I think there's a tag. Core members are like children of the federal government.
Exactly. So why should I
a
die
child
while
of the federal
serving?
government to be killed by a soldier? That's ironic.
And the
honestly.
soldier, what do we call them? The soldier is something in the federal government, so it's more like family member. As a family member, why is my uncle shooting me? You feel me?
Really unfortunate.
Quite a sad one there. May God give the family the fortitude to bear the loss, because I mean you will be missed by the ones that you leave behind are the ones that would feel the pain of your death. So quite an unfortunate story there. May his soul rest in peace. Going over to Borno State, Remi Tinubu commissions Zulum's nursing quarters and 2 mega schools. That's an impressive one from the Borno State government, as the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Remi Tinubu, commissions the Zulum's nursing quarters and 2 mega schools. It's beginning. I must commend the Northerners these days. You know, they've been stereotyped as being the ones that don't really go to school in Nigeria.
And for Borno State, of course, they've been grappling with Boko Haram for a long time. The insurgence is still ongoing. It still continues in Borno State. And for them to at least, should I say, do this carry out this project to the nursing school, that's a massive development. And of course, nurses, of course, a lot of them would actually be females, and you know the stereotype that comes with female education, especially in the north.
Yeah.
So it's a welcome development.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for that very smart analysis. Let's go over to the Daily Monitor newspaper. The Daily Monitor, we see Tinubu to new envoys aggressively pursue foreign investments. Okay, so the president is telling his new envoys to aggressively pursue foreign investments. That's if they are able to achieve that, it will be good. I mean, our naira is not so valuable. So if we're having to do business, if we're able to get foreigners to come invest, it's going to be a good one for the country. Do well to read through details of that story. All right, to the Daily Independent. The Daily Independent newspaper, aviation sector Industry leaders urged Tinubu's intervention in Jet A1 crisis. Okay, and thank God that so far the federal government have intervened in the Jet A1 crisis. You know, even if they haven't done 100% or 90%, they have done 50% of intervention. So kudos to them. We're hoping for more stronger intervention. All right, so
Barbie, like what?